guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shrujita. And I am back with the second part of the underrated Ghibli films. It took me some time because with all the festivals hovering over us, it was really difficult to get back on feet and start working. But here I am with the second part of the video. So today I am going to talk about those Ghibli movies which are less discussed in spite of their mind-blowing plots. And as you know, I have already made a video of this, which is the first part. If you haven't checked it out, please go and check. The link will be given in the description box. So without further ado, let's get started. If you are a fan of cats, The Cat Returns is the movie for you. The protagonist Haru's life changes when she saves a cat from being hit by a truck. Whoa. The incident prompts a latent part to surface as Haru discovers she can talk to cats. Wow! Things get a little Alice in Wonderland as Haru is thrust into the cat kingdom and starts to turn into a cat. So she even gets proposed to by the prince of the cats, and needless to say, being a cat enthusiast, I couldn't skip this movie, and neither can you, I bet, if you were like me. But okay, so as I was going to talk about why these movies are underrated, I would talk about the drawbacks of this movie. Like, it's a simple tale with brilliant humor, but pales in comparison to Ghibli's other works. The artwork is more cartoony, and the studio's traditional style, it lacks the depth of their signature storytelling. Like, Ghibli has a different style, and this movie kind of lacks it. But perhaps most detrimental, The Cat Returns was released in the same year as Spirited Away, and which is of course one of the mightiest examples of the studio's talent. And this is where it is harshly highlighting the flaws of the movie The Cat Returns. Overall, it's a really good watch. Lastly, The Cat Returns also has this crossover character from The Whisper of the Heart, Baron, who plays a major role in this movie. At number 2, I'm going with Up From the Poppy Hill, or From Up the Poppy Hill, whatever. The whole atmosphere about ships and flags in this movie, it lends a strange flavor. The clubhouse is one of my favorite things, of course. And also I was low-key relieved that the ending turned out to be happy. This movie is written by Hayao Miyazaki and directed by his son Goro Miyazaki, and it is one of the Studio Ghibli's most straightforward dramas, and it is an adaptation of a popular manga even, which was published around 1980. So this Ghibli film that feels more directly aimed at a specific demographic young adults than some of their most transcendent work, but there is a visual beauty here in the design of the mansion in which much of the film takes place. And well, the hill, I just cannot forget to mention about the hill. So pretty. The image of a flag flying high in the breeze, trying to communicate across miles to the sailors, it is haunting. While the story of the two teenagers, Umi and Shun, works while good enough, it gives the essence of a teen drama, and obviously with few interesting twists. What resonates the most is the concept of a young girl using the naval language of flags to communicate with an entire lost generation of fathers who were killed in combat.
On a supply ship, but his ship sank.
Unlike many well-known Ghibli films, From Up the Poppy Hill is more character-oriented than plot-driven, which may have initially turned some Ghibli fans off, although I loved the movie. The plot, the visuals, everything was on point. However, the fans who tuned in were treated to a meditative piece evoking a strong sense of nostalgia. So honestly, The Wind Rises, this movie was quite slow paced in the beginning. I contemplated as I started watching the movie, but gradually, as it continued, it took up the pace, and the story suddenly felt so much interesting. Hayao Miyazaki's reportedly conceived and designed film as his last before retirement, The Wind Rises is undeniably the work of a master looking back at his career.
This is a dream. This world's a dream. Welcome to my kingdom.
After all, it is about a perfectionist whose name is Jiro Horikoshi, a World War II airplane designer, who seeks what was once considered impossible, soaring high above the clouds on what one character calls beautiful dreams. Setting his story in the years before World War II adds weight to Miyazaki's melancholy vision. After all, we know that these dreams will lead to nightmares, and Miyazaki took some criticisms for one of the few times in his career for not making this film sufficiently anti-war. Whatsoever, so much of Ghibli's catalogue has been so clearly anti-violent that this is somewhat a myopic reading of this film, and it dismisses the ambition of its story and beauty of its visuals. Miyazaki's final film contains some of his most striking compositions, alternately realistic and fantastical. It is about a dreamer who is forced to be a realist. In other words, it's about its creator as well. Last but not the least, I have The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Now, no other film in the studio vibrates with the same deep emotion as Isao Takahata's final film. Arguably, this movie was his masterpiece. This is a clear culmination of themes that had explored throughout his career. It's his retelling of a famous Japanese folk tale, a sweeping epic that breathed new life into animated storytelling.
That kid's weird. She grows fast.
This movie feels simple at first, like an old-fashioned fairy tale about a magical girl who grows up quickly, and it's only 2 hours later when you will realize that you have experienced its emotions in the totality. It is then when you can really appreciate what Takahata has accomplished here. With sparse watercolor visuals that are nearly free of the visual flourish of the company's prior works, Takahata focuses his audience on his themes instead of just his art. This is a lovely musical composition for a single instrument. You can hear every heartbreaking note. The tale of the movie is too poignant. It reflects how Takahata wrestled with it for years before finding a compelling way to adopt it. When Like the movie goes like, when a bamboo cutter and his wife raise a mystical young girl found within a bamboo stalk, they eventually send her to the capital to become a noble lady. And this is where the actual journey begins.
Your Highness!
Yearning for her simplistic life of freedom, Princess Kaguya rebels against a meaningless life of luxury. And it is a gorgeous masterwork that demonstrates the limitless expanse of Takahata's imagination. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, then share with your friends, comment, subscribe to my channel, and also watch the movies that I've suggested, and let me know in the comment box what you feel about it. And yeah, bye.